What is happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another episode of DEBO'S Fishing. Now today's not going to be a video about can. It's a video about knot. Now hold on, I'm not getting negative, but I got a couple knots. Yacht, knot, forget about. Let's get to it. Let's get to tying some knots. All right, if you're going to follow along with me at home, you'll need a few items. Fishing line of your choice. Today I'm going to be using my Frog and Braid 50-pound braid in a beautiful bright green color. Easy to see on the water and on camera. I'm using a 5/0 flipping hook because it's easy to see, and you will also need some line cutters. I'm using my little braid cutters here. Alright, so today I'm going to show you guys 3 knots. The Trilene knot, it's the knot that I use for any of my moving baits. It's also the knot that I use for any sort of fishing around vegetation. So if I'm throwing like a weightless Senko, because the tag end of it, on a lot of like your Palomar or improved Clinch, this tag end sticks up and out and it will collect moss and weeds, and you always get stuff stuck on it and you're having to pick it off. So this knot eliminates that. The second knot I use is it's actually a simple knot. It's just a Clinch knot that's doubled over. Now I actually first saw this from Gerald Swindle, the G-Man. He calls it the double Shindo, and I was skeptical of it because it's so easy, but holy smokes, it is very strong. I use it on all my fluorocarbon applications. It is extremely shock absorbent. I've never broke one. Works awesome. And the third one is the knot that I used to use for all of my braid, the San Diego Jam knot. I've become a little bit lazy on it, and I've been using the Trilene knot instead of that, but I'll show you all 3. So the first knot, the Trilene knot, you will start by putting the line through the eye of your hook. You're going to wrap it around your finger and come through the eye of the hook again. So you're essentially going to be creating 2 loops here, like so. I'm going to run my line around the main end, the tag end around here, 7 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now I'm going to take this tag in and put it back through both of these little loops that I've created. All right. I'm going to hold the tag in down by my hook, and you'll see those 2 little loops cinch around the eye of the hook. And as I pull my main line, it cinches all of that down onto the hook. Now, if this were fluorocarbon or monofilament, and I wet all my lines, but you especially want to make sure on your fluorocarbon and monofilament that you wet your line before you cinch any of that down, because as those knots come down, they start to rub against each other. It creates friction. Friction creates heat. Heat in a nylon or copolymer line or monofilament line will give it a weak spot. So always wet your line before you cinch it down. This, as you can see, creates a couple nice little loops. It's a good clean knot, and if you look at my tag end, it's sticking straight down toward my bait. So when I cut this off, my tag end is sticking straight down towards the bait. You don't get it caught on anything. Love that knot. So let's go to knot number 2. Knot number 2. This is the doubled over Clinch knot, I guess you would say. G-Man calls it the double Shindo knot, or it's probably reminiscent of a hook that you first learned to tie when you started fishing, which is either the Clinch knot or the improved Clinch knot. The problem with those was, though, when you would tie those, the normal version, only one strand of the line comes through the hook. I don't do that any longer. Any of the knots that I tie are always going to be doubled over. You'll run it through the eye of your hook, and you're going to come back down the way that you just came through there. You're going to come back down through that. So essentially the end that I'm going to be working with here is 2 strands right here. So I've got 2 strands of it. That's what I'm going to be working with. I'm going to pull my tag end out and up my main line. And this is what I'm going to be working with here, this end and back that's doubled over. Now from here, I'm just going to do my regular Clinch knot. So I'm going to keep my middle finger in here. I'm going to create a loop around it and go around 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all that you do now is bring this right back in where you had your finger. I'm going to hold it down towards the eye of my hook. I'm not going to use this end here. I'm not going to pull this. I'm just going to keep it here toward the end of my hook. Now, if you're using fluorocarbon or mono copolymer, make sure you wet your line, and it's just going to cinch it down. Now you'll see how all those come on top of each other, so it looks like a bunch of Oreos all stacked up on one another. That's what you want. You're going to pull that down tight, and that's what it gives you. It is a very, very strong knot. I was very skeptical at first, but it is extremely strong. So this line will give you 3 different tag ends. So I've got the 2 that I used here. I will pull this tight as well just to make sure at the end. Pull my main line without the tag, that little end. Pull that, make sure everything's tight. Okay, and you've got 3 tag ends to trim. So this section here, I'll trim that off. And then the one little lonely tag end here, I will trim that off. Now you'll notice, you might say, oh, that looks kind of sloppy where you cut. I don't ever cut my tag ends like within 1 millimeter of my line, because if any of this ever slips a little bit, you want to have a little extra cushion, just a little extra line that can come through, because guys, if they didn't see all this stuff in front of it, they're not going to see these little tags here. It's going to be fine. So that is the doubled over clinch knot. Let's go to knot number 3. The third and final knot that I'm going to tie will be the double San Diego jam knot. Now again, I use this for all of my braid applications. It's a good strong knot. So to start this one out, we will go in the same way that we did with the last one. We're going to come through the eye of the hook, and then when we pull that through, we're going to come back down through again to create that doubled over line end, like so here. That's what we're going to be working with. So we'll take this tag in and pull it down. I usually come down about 6 inches. Then I'm going to hold the tag and main line between my ring and pinky finger. I'm going to bring my hook up here, and I'm going to take this doubled over end and run it around my middle finger over here. And what I'm going to do essentially is create a loop up here, like so. So I'm going to take this doubled over end here, and I'm going to make 7 loops. Now if it's lighter line, I would usually go up to 10 or 11 loops, but with line like this, you know, your bigger fluorocarbons, 7 works fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I've got my 7 loops there. I'm going to take this loop and put it through the little circle or loop that we've created here between our line and the eye of our hook. Then I'm going to take that back up and bring it through this loop that we've created up here that we were holding. So that's going to come right through here, like so. Now at this point, if you're using fluorocarbons or monofilament, you want to make sure you wet your line. And again, I always wet it with braid too, just so that knot can slide easier, lubricate it. But again, especially important for your fluorocarbons and monofilaments so they don't burn. I'm going to hold it here. Now you'll notice when I start pulling this doubled over end that I ran through here, it's going to start to cinch that knot up a little bit. Now just get it there just so it's kind of snug. I'm going to take my tag into my main line, and I'm going to pull that knot, and it's going to start coming down toward the eye of my hook. You can see how all that starts to cinch down on each other. Now essentially what would happen here is if this wasn't through here, this knot would just pull out. But this is what's actually keeping everything from just sliding through. That's why this is a strong knot, because when you start to pull it and cinch it down, that knot can't come undone because of this. So once I get down toward the bottom, I'm going to take this doubled over end and pull it so everything is good and tight and pulled through. I'm going to take this tag into main line and pull them tight, and everything will cinch down on itself. So you can see there you have a good looking row of knots like that. I always undo my tag line and main line, and I give my tag line a good pull to make sure everything's good and tight. Then I give just the main line by itself a pull. And that will again leave you with 3 tag ends. So I take my main line and hold it down toward my bait like this. I get my 3 tag lines all together and give them a snip. And that's all there is to it. That keeps everything good and tidy. The knot itself is extremely strong. You just have your 3 little tag ends sticking up. And again, I always leave a little bit of room there just in case there's any sort of slippage. Braid is a little bit more prone to slipping, but it's a very, very strong knot. So I hope this helps you guys. Those are my top 3 knots. If you guys like videos like this, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see more of. I just did a reel comparison video that I had a ton of fun doing. I would love to do more of those. So if you want to see more reel comparisons, comment below what ones you'd like to see compared to each other. But otherwise, make sure you guys and gals stay responsible as anglers, pick up your trash. No matter what, keep casting, and until next time.